Nestled in the heart of the dense, foreboding Blackpine Forest, our family's cabin stood as a testament to generations of joy and unspoken terror. Blackpine Retreat, as it was affectionately known, was a place where my family escaped the hustle of city life, immersing ourselves in the tranquility of nature. The cabin, with its rustic charm and creaking floorboards, held memories of laughter-filled days spent hiking, fishing in the nearby river, and nights under a blanket of stars. Yet, beneath this idyllic veneer, a dark family secret lurked, whispered in hushed tones and fearful glances. My father, a stern yet loving man, had always been the storyteller of our family. But there was one tale he told with a seriousness that bordered on fear. He warned us about the cabin's peculiar curse. If ever a single knock sounded at the door during the night, under no circumstances were we to answer it. As a child, I thought it nothing more than a spooky story to keep us from venturing into the night. But the earnest shadow in his eyes suggested a deeper truth. I remember how, on some nights, my father would stare out the window into the dark woods, his face etched with worry. Occasionally, he would leave the cabin, his steps disappearing into the night, not to return until the early hours of the morning. His absences were a mystery that the family learned to accept but never questioned. It was during one particularly warm summer that the truth began to unravel. The day had been perfect, the sun shining, the river cool, and the laughter genuine. But as night descended, a sense of unease crept over me. We were clearing the dinner table when it happened. A loud, singular knock echoed against the wooden door. The sound pierced the night, sending a wave of cold dread through my body. Everyone froze. My father's face contorted with an emotion I couldn't quite place. Anger, fear, or perhaps both. He grabbed his hunting rifle and, without a word, stormed out into the night. My mother quickly herded my siblings and me away from the door, her eyes wide with a fear I had never seen before. We sat huddled together, listening to the eerie silence that had befallen the cabin. That night, nothing more happened, but the air remained heavy with unspoken terror. The next morning, I confronted my mother. The fear in her eyes the previous night had been real, and I needed to understand why. With a deep sigh, she revealed the dark history of Blackpine Retreat. Many years ago, when my father and his sister were just children, they too heard the single knock. Driven by curiosity, his sister opened the door. She was swallowed by the darkness, never to be seen again. My father, she explained, had never forgiven himself. His nightly vigils and sudden departures were his way of searching for her, hoping against hope to find some clue to her disappearance. The revelation shook me to my core. The day passed in a blur, the joy of summer now overshadowed by the family's tragic past. As night approached, a palpable tension filled the cabin. We were just sitting down for dinner when the knock came again, a thunderous, solitary boom against the front door. My father reacted instantly, rifle in hand, his face a mask of determination and fear. This time, gunshots shattered the night's stillness. In a moment of panic and bravery, I slipped out of my mother's grasp and ran outside. The forest was alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures and rustling leaves. I called out for my father, my voice barely audible over the cacophony of the woods. Then, in a moonlit clearing, I saw them, my father and a glowing spectral figure. The figure was hauntingly beautiful yet terrifying. Its features were constantly shifting, like smoke caught in a gentle breeze. "Time for you to come home," it spoke in a voice that was both melodic and chilling. Tears streamed down my father's face as he replied, "I can't, not yet." The figure turned its gaze upon me, its eyes like deep, endless voids. It smiled, a gesture that filled me with an unspeakable dread. It moved towards me, its form flickering like a flame in the wind. My father yelled, a sound of pure anguish, and lunged at the figure. In a blinding flash of light, they both vanished, leaving behind a silence that was louder than any noise I had ever heard. My mother found me standing alone in the clearing, the moon casting long shadows around me. "Did you find your father?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and despair. "No," I whispered back, the weight of what I had witnessed pressing down on me. "We never saw him again." The cabin at Blackpine Retreat stands empty now, a hollow shell amidst the whispering trees. My mother, racked with grief and unspoken guilt, couldn't bear to return. The memory of that night, the night when the one knock claimed another member of our family, haunts my dreams. I see the spectral figure in my father, hear the eerie voice saying, "Time for you to come home," and wake up in a cold sweat, the echo of the knock still ringing in my ears. Years have passed since that fateful summer, but the mystery of Blackpine Retreat remains unsolved. Some nights, when the wind howls just right, I swear I can hear the faint sound of a knock, a solitary thud against a wooden door, beckoning me back to the forest. But I resist, knowing all too well the curse that lies in wait. The locals speak of the cabin in hushed tones, spinning tales of the ghostly figure seen wandering the woods, of unexplained lights, and of the family that was torn apart by something beyond understanding. They say the forest around Blackpine Retreat is cursed, that those who venture too close at night are sometimes greeted by a single ominous knock. I've tried to move on, to live a life untouched by the shadows of that summer, but deep down, I know a part of me will always remain at Blackpine Retreat, forever entwined with the mystery of the one knock. It's a reminder of the thin veil between our world and something unfathomable, a warning that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. And so, the cabin sits in silence, a sentinel in the dark woods, guarding its secrets and waiting for the next curious soul to brave the one knock at Blackpine Retreat.